Hi everyone, welcome to Swinging Opinions. I'm Shailesh and I have Shreyas, who's my dear friend. We both are huge cricket fans. We follow the game very closely. And like all of you, we like to discuss the game, share our opinion. And in this process, we hope we answer some of the questions you might be thinking. So we are pretty excited to bring this podcast to you and we hope that you enjoy this conversation. Let's get right into it, Shreyas. That loss, now it's been some time. So I've gotten a chance to make peace with it, but at the time I was distraught. I was angry, I was mad, I wanted to pull my hair out. It just felt very disheartening to see that kind of a performance. Felt like, the team gave up at the wrong time. uh, what were you feeling?
So to be honest, it's the same thing with me as well. While I was watching the match at the start of day five, there was an outside chance that India could win the game as well, but it was just an outside chance. Majority of my thought process was how we would save the game and take it to the last match in the series. But what transpired was as much confusing as disappointing, to be honest. So when we started really well, to be honest. But then we just kept giving them a wicket every time they were going to be batted out of the game, or when we were trying to save the test match, still gave our wickets away. So that was really disheartening, to be honest, and I did not anticipate that happening with Team India, specifically from the position of having Australia 91 for 6, and then going on to chase 330, 340, and then from having a wicketless session to going absolutely berserk at the end, where you lost with 10 overs to go, or more than 10 overs to go. So that's what I made of it. And yeah, it was frustrating, but I think we can maybe learn. If we learn something from it, that's good. If we don't and continue to do the same things, it's not going to help us out.
Of course, I mean, there were positives like Nitish Kumar Reddy came out well, Bumrah as usual, doing great. But it was the collapse again at the end. Once we lost Pant, in no time we lost a flurry of wickets. And it felt like all we needed is just another 30, 40 minutes of batting. Maybe some partnership between Pant and Jaiswal, or some partnership between Jadeja or Jaiswal. Someone batting another 10 overs, within the batting unit before exposing the tailenders. But like you said, it was disappointing. It was disheartening, but I am hoping that we learn a lot from this and the team takes the positivity to SCG, because the series is not yet lost. We're still in the series. We could still win SCG and, end at 2-2. But let me bring you back to what happened on day 5. We had a good start, I like you said. We batted first 15 overs really well, then few bad shots. Rohit is gone. KL got a good ball. Virat Kohli threw his wicket away at the wrong time, just before lunch. And Pant arrives. He comes at a time where things are looking really bad, and hope was starting to get lost, thinking that, oh, maybe this is another day of collapse. And he bats out of his skin throughout the session with Jaiswal, does all the hard work, and comes after tea and plays the most horrible shot in that situation. Uh, what would you make of it? Was it just a loss of concentration, or you thought he was going for the win?
If you were going for the win, that's absolutely, to be honest, it's like you're trying something improbable. So you needed 228 runs in the last session to actually win the test match. So that's never been done. I'm absolutely certain. Even in GABA, when we did it, it was like 130 or something that we needed in the last session, 130, 140. So to go for 228 runs in the last session of a test match when the ball was not doing anything would be something that I don't see happening. I think it was more of a frustration with respect to how many balls from Travis Head he was letting go. So there are a lot of full ones, floated, tossed up ones that he could have actually hit out of the ground, but he controlled himself very well. Kept playing with the straight bat, kept getting behind the line of the ball. Got beat only twice by Nathan Lyon, but those were good deliveries. They spun very sharp, so it's okay. But then he sees that long hop from Travis Head, which deserved to be hit. To be honest, on any other day, I would have said hit it out of the park. But he tries to do something on the longest boundary in MCG towards deep mid wicket, and it did not come off. He could have probably played it on the ground. Good captaincy from Cummins as well to set the field the way he did it. But that was a horrible shot, and that ends a bad test match for Rishabh Pant, where in the first innings as well, he played a very innocuous shot. to get out, and second innings as well, he's got himself out rather than having the bowler get him out.
Great captaincy by Cummins. I agree. The previous over when Pant tried to whip that to the leg side against Lyon, he kept the mid on. He had a long on or mid off, so Pant couldn't go along the ground, which would have had a risk of him getting caught at mid on. So he thought probably go over mid on. But again, very wrong choice of shot given the situation. And that brings me to the next topic. It's all about tactics. I see over and over again so many tactical mistakes. You look at day one, 311 for six. We felt we did okay. Later we realized the pitch was so good to bat on. I think we did great on day one to restrict Australia. But somehow we again let last 4 wickets add more than 150, 160 runs, taking the lead off, taking the first inning score all the way to 470. Then on day two, again a run out at a very critical point, which was a tactical mistake. And then same thing on day four, drop catches, not leveraging the bowling properly. I know the bowlers were tired, but still, we didn't leverage the resources properly to get those last couple of wickets. Why so many tactical mistakes? And on top of that, Rohit is not in a great form. He chose to open even after not scoring runs. Um, have the management not come up with the right strategy for the Australian tour, or it just players not executing the plan that they've set out?
It's a combination of both, in my opinion. So when you have two top batters in your top four who are not in form, you are always looking for runs down the order. So Virat Kohli, I believe, is the greatest Indian Test captain without a doubt because of his aggressive nature. He always picked five bowlers and relied on his top six to score whatever runs they could. But in this case, if you look at when you talk about tactical mistakes and having Australia 311 for six, even before that, we had Australia 246 for five. We were
Yeah,
lacking that
correct.
fifth bowler, and that's where I think we had to kind of, our bowlers were tired, so we had to give in to Washington, Sundar, and Jadeja. And day one at MCG is not a pitch for Washington or Jadeja. Rather, even day three, day four were not Jadeja and Washington Sundar pitches, but still. So that's where I believe we missed a trick, or we've kind of gone on the defensive a little bit, where we are, you know, looking for our bottom order to score runs. So the runs at Nitish Reddy and Washington Sundar, although that's great, but to be honest, that's hurting us while picking 20 wickets. That's one aspect of it. In terms of Rohit's captaincy, I think you have a better insight or a better opinion. So I would like to ask you on what you think Rohit Sharma could have done differently in this test match.
I felt he was not able to motivate the team when needed as a captain. He did a great job in that second inning against Australia. I think he marshaled the bowling lineup really well. He got the right bowlers to bowl in the right areas, right field setting. But when he had a couple of drop catches, I felt he needed to step up as a captain, bring the team together. And I'm sure he must have given them a pep talk and tried to kind of execute a plan. But it felt very flat. I also didn't agree with the field setting for last couple of batsmen. It felt like he's playing the waiting game. So I think his captaincy has been both good and bad. He's really good at captaining the side for the first 5, 6 wickets. But in the last 2, 3 wickets, he plays the waiting game, and that is not working in his favor. Maybe it would have worked in favor if the bowlers were throwing their wickets away, and we would be like, great, he saved certain runs for the team by not being overly aggressive. But that wasn't happening. He didn't have plan for Cummins. Cummins not only bowled well, but also with the bat made the biggest difference in this test match. So you feel that he could have done a little better. In the first inning too, I think bringing Washington all the way after 50th over, when he's going to be your off spinner, maybe he would have got a little more purchase early on. So he could try a few different things. But again, more than his captaincy, what I'm worried about is what's happening with his batting. What is the path forward for him? And this is a $1 billion question. Should he retire? There's a lot of conversation on social media about it. SCG could well be his last test. He's one of the greats for Indian cricket, and it feels bad to see him struggle the way he did throughout the series, even against New Zealand. So somewhere I'm not as confident going into SCG, feeling that he's not confident. He wants to bat top of the order. What do you think would be the combination going into that final test? And how can team get some positivity out of this humiliating loss and still aim to win, because the series is not yet done? We still have a chance to win. We can still retain the Border Gavaskar Trophy. What would be your strategy going into the next test?
Yeah, just before we get to the combination for the HCG test, I would like to talk on Rohit Sharma for a minute. So I have been a huge fan of Rohit Sharma right from the very beginning. I followed his ODI or white ball career, and he's been a great in that format. In test matches, he's been good for India in patches, but I can't really call him like, oh, this is Rohit Sharma's series. This is where he's actually scored 500 runs and done X, Y, Z, right? But he's
Yeah.
always been good over the past 14, 15 innings that Rohit Sharma has played. There is just one significant innings of a 50 plus score in the second innings in Bangalore against New Zealand. And that was a good innings. But in the rest of the innings, it's all single digit scores or 18s or 20s. And he doesn't seem to be getting into the line of the ball. He seems to be slowing down with age. His reflexes have gone down probably. So what you see is he's either late on the ball, he is not moving his feet around, and the one thing I would say is, again, in the second innings in MCG, he was actually batting very well. Yet he was able to move his feet, get in line with the ball, even play your forward straight drive. And I was hoping
Yeah.
and praying every ball while he was playing that he'll get through this, get through this, get through this.
I,
And then he plays that shot. So I believe this should be the end of the road for him. I would like to be proven wrong, but I don't see that happening. Even if he bats 100 balls, there is going to be a point where he loses concentration or where he plays that reckless shot, which is going to be trouble for him. So when you're an opening bat, you don't want a 40 or a 50 from your opening bat. You want 100, 150. So unless Rohit Sharma can actually, make himself so disciplined that he can show us that form where he scores 100, 150 batting at the top of the order, I don't see him coming back from this. Probably his last test STG, maybe. Maybe let's get into the combination now. For me, as a leader, Rohit Sharma is always focused on team ethics and team game and how he says it is his team that is very important. It's not an individual performance. So if he sticks by that, I believe he should be leaving himself out. It might be a little humiliating for him, considering he's one of the most experienced players in the team. But if he truly believes that it is the team ethic that comes in front of everything else, then that is the right decision. Drop yourself for the game, maybe retire after the series, or maybe play Ranji and try and get back into form, whatever it might be. So I would actually leave Rohit out, but what we hear from media doesn't seem to be the case. So
think he said at the press conference after MCG test that he is the captain and he looks like he will play SCG test for sure. And again, there is no test match for next 6 months. The next test match India plays is in June. Maybe India can focus on, creating a new team and look to march forward. So could be fitting for him to play SCG test and retire on a good note and like not having to wait for 6 more months and, have that England tour and go through the same level of, performances. So he'll play the test, and if he retires, it might be a good decision. He puts team ahead of his own interests. What about Virat Kohli though? Would you what is Virat Kohli's future? He looked great in most of the innings. He looked great. He played few bad shots, but every time he comes to bat, even in the first inning, he looked like someone who's in good nick and can score runs, but somehow doesn't. You think there's a chance of retirement or any such conversation for Virat ahead of SCG?
not ahead of the SCG. The England tour is in Jan or June 2025. So Virat Kohli is not far behind of Rohit Sharma. Virat Kohli has 400 in the last 4 years, which would be catastrophic for any other cricketer in India. But because of what he's done for the game and how he's carried the team for a long time, I believe he does deserve some leeway in this sense. But what I see with Virat Kohli is that he continues to fish outside the off stump, which is like, I mean, everybody can see that he's playing that shot. But it seems to be reflected a little bit with him as well. In your past, you can leave on length, you can leave on line, but he seems to continue to follow the ball and then let his hands go towards the ball rather than his full
Yeah,
body weight, which is what would happen if he was in peak form or he would let it go. He did show discipline in the first innings, and I believe that Jaiswal run out did play a lot of havoc or created chaos in his mind where he kind of lost concentration and fetched for that ball, which he was very well leaving outside the off stump as well. So I believe there is hope for Virat Kohli. I genuinely hope he can play the next cycle as well. If he continues the way he is, where he played that the worst shot of the innings for me was not Rishabh Pant, was not Rohit Sharma. It was Virat Kohli because he is the top batter in the team. It's the last over before lunch, or maybe, yeah, it was the last over before lunch.
Yeah.
And for a floated ball outside the off stump, you played an expensive shot. The ball is not 30 overs old, it is 26 overs old. It was the 27th over of the inning, and for a floated ball outside the off stump with three slips lined up behind you, you played that cover drive. So that's a bad shot, but I hope he can also, find it within himself, find that hunger and passion that he already has, and focus it towards his batting and really, give us the last couple of years of great batting, passionate fielding, good captaincy as well, or support to the captain if he is there in the team, and continue for at least a couple of other years after this.
Yeah, mentor some of the youngsters and build that team that can do great after he leaves. So he has a great opportunity to do that. And I agree with you. I think that that shot at the time wasn't a great example for the batters that were to follow. You talked about combination. Look like based on the news, Akashdeep is injured. He was very unlucky. He did pretty well in both the tests, but he couldn't get the right length, and for some reason he couldn't get the wickets. So looks like he's going to be not playing. What would be your combination going into SCG?
A thing about Akashdeep, he's the Shami of this store. So we used to see Mohammad Shami
Yes.
pull up length, short up length deliveries, and then beat the bat continuously. So he'll learn with this experience, and it will be a good experience for him. It's unlucky that he's missing out. I think there is some back issues for him. So I would look at the wicket and then take a decision on the combination. I mean, considering Rohit Sharma still plays, so the batting lineup wouldn't change up to number 5, which is Rishabh Pant. One of, I believe, if it is a turning wicket, I would stick with the same three all-rounders, where Jadeja and Washington Sundar can be more of use. But if it is not a turning wicket, if it is a flat wicket, I would think about dropping either of Jadeja or Washington Sundar, or even a Nitish Reddy. I know he scored 100, but we need somebody who can bowl those overs. So only two of those three all-rounders I would pick. In my case, it would be Nitish Reddy and Jadeja, and it would be a toss-up between Washington Sundar or Tanush Photian, because Tanush Photian is more of a bowler than Washington Sundar. And in the pace line of Akashdeep, I would be replacing with Prasidh Krishna. He does deserve a go. He bowled really well in South Africa, and he could keep it tight, bowl the short, long spells as well. So that could be something that Team India would do, wherein they get in Prasidh Krishna and give him the kind of support that they've given Akashdeep as well. So that is the team I would go with.
I agree. My three bowlers are Bumrah, Siraj, and Prasidh Krishna. I think those three pacers. And looks like SCG is going to be a little slower wicket, so you probably would play two spinners. So so if you play two spinners, playing Kotian ahead of Washington would be very interesting, given Ashwin retired and looked like management wanted to go with Washington as a preferred spinner because he could bat. So it'll be interesting to see what decision the team makes. But if there are two spinners, you'll play with Jadeja and Washington, and then three wickets. It hasn't been enough to take 20 wickets with this kind of a bowling lineup. So I don't know if the SCG wicket, considering is going to be flatter than the other wickets, how we can take those 20 wickets. So again, the combination issue that you are not able to resolve properly. But that's what I would go with. The same batting lineup and just probably a change for Prasidh Krishna coming in for Akashdeep.
Ashwin retiring has been a big disadvantage for Team India. And at the
Ye-
wrong time, MCG and SCG would be the two test matches he would definitely play. And he's a wicket taking spinner who can turn it, who can take wickets with drift, who can take wickets with line variations, with pace variations. So that's a lot of guile and skill in his bowling, which Washington Sundar at the moment doesn't have. Maybe he'll develop it with time. Jadeja has never been that bowler. Jadeja can beat you on pace or beat you with the one that goes straight through rather than
Yeah,
turning. But if it's a
yeah.
glass wicket or something with a flat wicket, Jadeja can contain, but taking wickets is going to be difficult for Ravindra Jadeja. So I believe Ashwin is a big loss, but we have what we have. We go with what we have at the moment.
I'm sure after watching the match, he must have thought he missed out. He would have probably played in this match and again at SCG too. But yeah, like I said, we have to move forward. There's still ton of positivity the team can take to the next match. I think Jaiswal, as usual, was like amazing. Even under pressure after dropping those catches, he came out very strong on day 5. And he got out at the wrong time, but he tried his best. And Nitish Kumar Reddy is in good form. So still, I think there is hope for the team, and we are rooting for it. So moving forward with that, this is the end of our first episode. Thank you, Shreyas, for taking out time and having this conversation. I really enjoyed it, and I'm sure you did it too. To our viewers, we are cricket fans just like you who love the game, loves to talk about it. I'm sure you all have similar questions in your mind, and I hope you enjoyed this conversation. If you like the video, please do share it with your friends and subscribe to our channel. We look forward to bringing more such conversations for you this upcoming year. And Happy New Year, everyone. With that, see you in the next video. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.